Today, I want to do something a little bit different. I'm not going to give you a list of grammar rules. I'm not going to hand you a list of vocabulary words to memorize. Instead, I want to tell you a story. A real deeply human story. And I have a promise for you. If you can understand the words, the emotions, and the journey in this story today, your English is much, much better than you think it is. Before we start, I want you to close your eyes for just a second. Or if you're driving or walking, just focus your mind. Have you ever sat in a room full of people? Or joined a business meeting? Or even just walked up to a counter to order a coffee? And you knew exactly what you wanted to say in your head? Your thoughts were beautiful. Your ideas were perfect. But the moment you opened your mouth, everything froze. Your throat felt tight. Your heart started racing. The words got stuck right behind your teeth. And instead of saying that brilliant point, you just smiled, nodded, and stayed completely silent. If you have ever felt that heavy, frustrating weight in your chest, I want you to know something right now. You are not alone. And more importantly, it has nothing to do with your intelligence. Today, we are going to follow the journey of someone who felt exactly like that. Let's call him Leo. Leo's journey is the ultimate hero's journey. From a place of deep hesitation, fear, and painful silence, to a place of complete fluency, unshakable confidence, and true freedom. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and just listen. Let the language wash over you. Let's dive in. Let's go back 5 years. Leo was an incredibly smart guy. In his native language, he was funny, sharp, and highly capable. He worked at a growing company, and technically, his English was good on paper. He could read articles, he could understand emails, and he could score well on standard grammar tests. But the real world doesn't care about a test score. Every single day for Leo was a series of hidden mini battles. Let me give you a real-life example that I think many of you will recognize. Every Tuesday morning, Leo's company had a global sync meeting over Zoom. There were team members from London, New York, and Singapore. Leo would log in 20 minutes early, his palms already sweating. He would look at the agenda, and his mind would instantly start racing. He would literally spend 20 minutes translating a single sentence in his head, over and over again, trying to make it perfect. I think we should launch the project next Monday. He'd think, is it next Monday or on next Monday? Should I say launch or initiate? By the time the manager said, Leo, do you have any updates for us? Leo's heart was hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He'd unmute his microphone. His voice would shake slightly, and he'd just say, no, everything is fine, thanks. The moment he muted himself, a wave of intense shame would wash over him. He knew he had so much value to add. But the fear of making a mistake, the fear of someone judging his accent, completely paralyzed him. Changed tone to a softer, more reflective pace. It wasn't just at work. The hesitation followed him into his personal life. One rainy afternoon, Leo was traveling abroad. He walked into a small, crowded cafe to buy a warm drink. The barista was fast, shouting orders, and the line behind Leo was moving quickly. When it was Leo's turn, the barista looked at him and asked a very simple, fast question. Have it here or to go? It was a basic phrase. But because it was fast, and because the environment was loud, Leo froze. His brain scrambled. He stumbled over his words. Yes. Inside, please. The barista sighed, looked slightly annoyed, and handed him a paper cup. It was a tiny interaction. It lasted 5 seconds. But as Leo walked out into the rain, holding his coffee, he felt completely defeated. He thought to himself, I've been studying this language for years. Why can't I even buy a coffee without feeling like a failure? Part 3, The Breaking Point and the Realization. Don Merbau, host. Months passed, and the silence built up a wall around Leo. He started avoiding social gatherings. If a colleague invited him for a casual dinner after work, he would make up an excuse. I'm too tired, he'd say. But the truth was he was just terrified of the casual, fast conversations where textbook English doesn't help you. Then came the breaking point. The day everything changed. Leo's company was pitch testing a massive new client. It was the kind of project that could change a career. Leo had spent 3 weeks working late nights, building the entire strategy. He knew the data better than anyone alive. The morning of the presentation, the lead presenter, Leo's manager, suddenly fell severely ill. The director walked into the room, looked straight at Leo, and said, Leo, you built this. You know the strategy inside out. You need to present this to the client in an hour. It's an English-speaking account. You can do this. Leo felt the blood completely leave his face. His hands went ice cold. An hour later, he was standing in front of a boardroom of 6 high-profile clients. He opened his mouth and the nightmare happened. Because of the sheer pressure, his mind went totally blank. He forgot the vocabulary he had practiced. He started stuttering. He mixed up his tenses. At one point, he used the wrong word entirely, saying we lost money instead of we invested money. He saw one of the clients frown and look down at their notebook. Somehow, Leo finished the presentation, but it was a disaster. The company didn't get the client. That night, Leo sat on the floor of his apartment in the dark. He didn't turn on the lights. He felt a deep, heavy sadness. He felt like his lack of English, fluency, was a ceiling that would forever keep him trapped in a small, limited life. He actually wept that night, not because he was weak, but because he was exhausted from fighting his own mind every single day. But inside every hero's journey, the breaking point is where the transformation begins. The next morning, Leo looked at himself in the mirror. He looked at his tired eyes, and something inside him shifted from sadness to anger. He thought, no, I am not going to let a language control my destiny anymore. But the old way of studying isn't working. I need a new path. Leo realized he had been treating English like a school subject to pass, rather than a living, breathing tool for human connection. He had been focusing entirely on perfection, which created anxiety instead of communication, which creates connection. So Leo made 3 radical shifts in his daily life. And if you are taking notes, I want you to really listen to these, because these are real-life habits that can change your fluency too. Shift 1. The death of perfection. First, Leo made a pact with himself. He decided that making a mistake was no longer a crime. He realized that native speakers make mistakes all the time. They use casual grammar, they stumble, they say and Leo, stop trying to sound like an advanced grammar textbook. Instead, he focused on making his point clear, using simple, direct, real-life language. Shift 2. The English environment habit. Second, he stopped studying English for 2 hours on weekends and started living in English for 15 minutes every single day. He changed his phone's language setting to English. When he washed the dishes or walked to the subway, he didn't just listen to music. He spoke out loud to himself, describing his day. Okay, now I'm walking down the street. It's cloudy today. I need to buy groceries later. He practiced what we call shadowing, listening to a real human voice on a podcast and repeating the words with the exact same rhythm and emotion. Shift 3, seeking the discomfort. And the hardest shift? He actively looked for small moments of discomfort. Remember that cafe where he froze? The next week, he went back to the exact same cafe. His heart was still beating fast, but this time he looked the barista in the eye. When the fast question came, "Have it here or to go?" Leo smiled, kept his voice calm, and said, "To go, please. And have a nice day." It was simple. It wasn't perfect poetry, but it was smooth, it was confident, and it worked. As he walked out, he realized something massive. Fluency is not about knowing 10,000 words. Fluency is about having peace of mind with the words you already know. Fast forward 2 years later, the company Leo worked for was hosting its annual international conference. This time it wasn't a small boardroom. It was an auditorium filled with over 300 people from all across the globe. Leo was invited to be the keynote speaker to discuss the company's biggest success, story of the year. As he stood backstage waiting for his name to be called, he looked down at his hands. They weren't sweating. His heart was beating, yes, but it wasn't the frantic beat of fear anymore. It was the steady, powerful pulse of excitement. He looked at the microphone in his hand. He remembered the guy who used to hide in Zoom meetings. He remembered the guy crying in the dark apartment. "Please welcome on stage Leo." The applause erupted. Leo walked out into the bright lights. He looked out at the sea of faces, people of all different backgrounds, cultures and languages. He didn't have a script memorized word for word. He didn't have a list of complex vocabulary he was forcing himself to use. He just looked at them, smiled naturally, and started speaking. His voice was strong, warm, and professional. At one point in the presentation, he actually made a small grammatical slip. He said, "depend on," instead of "depends on." A few years ago, that would have ruined his entire day. But today, he didn't even pause. He just kept going, focusing entirely on delivering massive value to the people listening. He shared stories. He used real-life examples. He even made a casual joke that made the entire auditorium laugh. When he finished, the room went completely quiet for a split second, and then the entire audience stood up. A standing ovation. As Leo walked off that stage, he realized he hadn't just mastered a language. He had unlocked his true self. He had broken the ceiling. He was finally entirely free. The reason I told you Leo's story today is because Leo is you. Every single step of that journey, the hesitation, the fear of judgment, the quiet frustration, and the ultimate breakthrough is exactly what you are capable of experiencing. I want to remind you of the promise I made at the very beginning of this video. Look at how far we've come. We have spent all this time together, diving deep into this long, emotional story, and you are still here with me. You understood the pain Leo felt. You understood the habits he built. And you understood the victory he achieved. Do you know what that means? It means your English is already beautiful. Your comprehension is incredible. Your mind is fully capable of processing this language at a deep emotional level. The only thing holding you back right now isn't your vocabulary or your grammar. It's just the belief that you aren't ready yet. But you are ready. Stop waiting for perfection. Start speaking with the words you have today. Make the mistakes, smile through them, and keep moving forward on your own hero's journey. If this story touched your heart today, or if you saw a little bit of yourself in Leo, please let me know in the comments below. I read every single one of them. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone who needs a little bit of confidence today. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep believing in yourself, keep speaking, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.